A lot of people have preconceived notion that metal music is satanic and full of terrible people. However, most popular metal music does not fall into this category, and most people involved are actually some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. There is good reason for people on the outside to feel that way, as many bands have drawn inspiration from darker things. There's a subgenre of metal that is directly involved in crime and the occult, and those crimes are what I'm going to talk about today. My name is Vanessa, and I like to talk about music history and pop culture. I hope you enjoy. Black metal comes from heavy metal. Heavy metal music can be traced back to the late 1960s with bands like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, but it grew and changed throughout the years until the mid-1980s when black metal appeared. From all of the sources that I could find, it looks like there were two distinct waves. The first wave started in the 1980s and included bands like Venom and Merciful Fate. These bands didn't practice Satanism, but they used imagery that is related to religion, usually pentagrams, and the band members would usually paint their faces. The lyrics to the songs were often controversial with fast tempos and high energy. The second wave of black metal began in the early 1990s. The bands were more openly against Christianity and said that they were practicing Satanists. They wanted to be seen as evil. Norway is known as one of the main countries that produce the most black metal artists. In Oslo, there was a record store called Helvete, which means hell in English. This store was owned by a man who went by the name Euronymous, who was a member of the black metal band Mayhem. This record store also had a record label in the basement, and the whole thing served as a center for the second wave of black metal. Overall, black metal artists recorded their albums with low budgets. As far as lyrics, most of them include lyrics that tear down organized religion and conflict. Many black metal artists chose not to perform live, but the ones who do wear something that is called corpse paint. You could argue that this style of makeup was born out of the makeup that Alice Cooper and Kiss wore in the 1970s, but to be honest, I think that might be a coincidence.
Bruh.
Corpse paint can be defined by the powder white face, thick black eye makeup, black lips, and sometimes marks of red on their face to look like blood. There are many events that go along with the story of black metal, but the first event that I would like to talk about is the suicide of
Yngve.
Ohlin, also known as Pele? I don't know. I'm just gonna call him Per. He had the stage name of Dead. Technically, suicide isn't a crime, but this event was the catalyst that really started the darker aspects of the black metal movement. Per was born in Sweden on January 16, 1969, and his parents divorced shortly after he was born. When he was young, he had a couple of different ailments. One was sleep apnea, and another was when he had internal bleeding after his spleen ruptured. He was 10 and said the cause of this was an ice skating accident, but his brother said that it might have been from an attack by a bully or multiple bullies. Per spent some time in a hospital and was clinically dead for a little while. He founded his first band in 1986, which was called Morbid, and recorded one demo album. Per was not happy with the lack of success that they had, so he contacted the band Mayhem, who is known to be a very influential black metal band. Per knew that Mayhem was looking for a new lead vocalist, so he sent the band a small package that had a demo tape and a letter with ideas, along with a crucified mouse. In 1988, Per became the lead vocalist of Mayhem. Per had a very strange personality. He was extremely introverted and depressed. He wouldn't eat and would wear t-shirts with funeral announcements on them. He wanted people to perceive him as dead, just as he perceived himself. He would wear corpse paint that I had mentioned earlier, and the reason why he did it is so that he could look like a corpse. He would also bury his clothes in the ground so that they would become musty, and he even kept a dead crow in a bag and would smell the bird before going on stage. He also collected dead geese under his bed. He frequently cut himself while performing, sometimes with broken bottles. People who knew him best said that he was hard to get to know and he didn't seem very happy in this world. He viewed himself as something that wasn't human, and he believed that he was actually dead. Now, it's possible that he might have had what is known as Cotard's delusion, which is an extremely rare mental disorder where a person believes that they're dead or have lost their blood, which honestly describes exactly how he felt. As time went on, Per started becoming really mentally unstable and would spend most of his time by himself in his room. In 1991, he lived in a house with Euronymous and Hellhammer, two other metal musicians. Dead and Euronymous did not get along, and Euronymous even encouraged Dead to actually kill himself. One night, Per went to sleep outside, and Euronymous followed him outside and began shooting a gun in the air just to mess with him. When Per did eventually commit suicide, his body was actually found by Euronymous after he had to climb through a window to get into the house with the doors locked. Before calling the police, he bought a disposable camera to take pictures of the body. He even rearranged some things for these pictures. Some people speculate that Euronymous had left Per alone so that he would kill himself, but this is not confirmed. One of the pictures that Euronymous took was used as the cover of a bootleg Mayhem album called The Dawn of the Black Hearts. It has also been confirmed that Euronymous made necklaces with pieces of Per's skull. After this is when the black metal scene really exploded with dark crimes and other generally quote-unquote evil things. Euronymous established Helvete, the record shop in Norway where many Norwegian black metal musicians would gather. He also founded Death Like Silence Productions, a record label that was based in the record store. The groups that would congregate there were called the Black Circle, allegedly. Euronymous worked to portray this as a cultish group of Satanists. This was most likely not true, but rather something Euronymous made up for publicity. However, it kind of made sense in the social context of Norway at the time, specifically with this subgroup of young people. The black metal scene is known for its dislike of religion. Norway had declared Lutheran Christianity as its natural religion all the way back in 1020, and it was the only permitted religion for around 300 years, ending in 1844. This religious oppression stays ingrained in a culture, and it probably is what leads to the hatred of religion. But it goes a little further than that. The black metal artists even criticized the Church of Satan for being too plain and instead practiced theistic Satanism, which is the complete opposite of what Christianity stands for. At least that's what it was according to Euronymous. He believed that every band had to follow this path or they were posers. A lot of people in the black metal scene basically said that Euronymous was blowing smoke out of it, saying that it was for publicity and to create fear, but some people said that he was really a true devil worshipper. It seems as though Satanism was used to provoke the public and for publicity, and this even extends to Nazi imagery. Church burnings. This began in 1992, and by 1996 there were around 50 burnings that had taken place. The first of these burnings took place at the Fantoft Stav Church in Bergen, Norway. By the time the fire was done, the church was basically destroyed. It's believed that Varg Vikernis was responsible for this. However, that has never been confirmed. He was, however, convicted of burning down Holmenkollen Chapel, Skjold Church, and a San Church. I'm so sorry. I should have looked up how to pronounce those. But even if I did, I don't think I'd be able to. Anyway, other metal musicians like Faust, Samoth, and Jorn Inge Tunsberg were also convicted of church arsons. All of the men that were convicted had no remorse and felt that it was their way of fighting against Christianity in Norway. Today, most people in the black metal community are divided on whether they agree with the church burnings or not. Recently, in 2019, a 23-year-old set fire to a church in Louisiana. He burnt 3 churches, which were historically home to black people, in an act to try and promote his own black metal music. He even recorded and took pictures of all of the attacks and posted them on Facebook. He was eventually found guilty in trial and sentenced to 25 years in prison. The hatred that black metal artists had was not limited to church burnings. Some also committed murder. The first murder that occurred happened in 1992. Brad Goldvik Faust Eithun was the drummer of the black metal band Emperor. He was born in 1974, moved to Lillehammer at age 16, and joined his first band. Then in 1992, he moved to Oslo and started working at Euronymous' record shop, Helvete. And the same year, he became the drummer of Emperor. On August 21st, 1992, Faust murdered Magna Andresson while visiting family in Lillehammer. Allegedly, Faust was walking home that night and a man, presumably Magna, made a sexual advance towards him. Magna was confirmed to be gay. Faust had agreed to go with him to a nearby park, and once in the woods he stabbed Magna 37 times. When Faust went back home to Oslo, he had told some other black metal musicians what he did. He also participated in the burning of a church, the Holmenkollen Chapel. The police didn't have any suspects for a while, and Faust was able to evade his attack on Magna. Eventually, he confessed to the murder of Andresson and said it was on impulse. He was sentenced in 1994 to only 14 years in prison, and he was actually released early in 2003. The media connected this murder to black metal, Satanism, and fascism, but Faust said that it had nothing to do with that, and a friend of his has said that Faust did it because he felt he was being attacked. When he did it, Faust said that he had no remorse and later said that he needed to get out some aggression, and it would have happened whether it was Magna or not. In 2008, he was interviewed and he said that he put all of the hateful things behind. He still plays music today. In 1993, an article was published in one of the largest newspapers in Norway, and it really brought black metal to the forefront. It was an interview with metal musician Varg Vikernis, although he was anonymous in the article. Count Gershnak, aka Varg, talked about having killed someone and burning churches. This prompted a journalist from the newspaper to set up an appointment with another journalist who was warned if they called the police, they would be shot. Varg told the journalist that they were devil worshippers and wanted to spread fear and evil. The journalists received details about Arsons that had not been publicly released, and they shared them with the police, who confirmed that they were true. By the time of publication, Varg had been arrested by the police. He was let go due to lack of evidence, and Euronymous decided to close Helvete once the police and media started poking around. Here's a little bit about Euronymous and Varg. Euronymous was born Øystein Arseth on March 22, 1968. He was the co-founder of Mayhem and the owner of Helvete, the record store. He was a Satanist and even claimed to be a fascist at one point. He also participated in church burnings. Varg Vikernis was born Christian Vikernis on February 11, 1973. He learned to play the guitar at age 14, and it is said that he was a Nazi, and his parents were also racist. He originally released music under the name Burzum from 1992 to 1996. Varg killed Euronymous on August 10, 1993, when Euronymous was 25 years old. Varg had stabbed Euronymous 23 times, with 16 of those in the back. Varg says that he killed Euronymous in self-defense. Allegedly, Euronymous had concocted a plan to shock Varg with an electroshock weapon, bind and torture him, all while filming the event. A meeting was arranged over an unsigned contract, and that was how Euronymous was going to lure Varg in. Varg and another black metal member, Blackthorn, went to Euronymous' apartment in Oslo. Blackthorn stayed outside while Varg went up to the apartment to give him the contract. He confronted Euronymous, and Euronymous kicked him in the chest. Allegedly, he then ran into the kitchen to get a knife. Somehow Varg got it, and that is when he stabbed Euronymous. Crazy as it is, Euronymous' body was found in the stairwell on the first floor. Varg does claim that most of the 23 stab wounds are from when Euronymous fell on some glass. Varg and Blackthorn drove to a lake where Varg got rid of the bloodstained clothes. There was some speculation that the murder was from a power struggle or financial dispute, but that has not been confirmed and has been denied by Varg. So the motive was pretty unclear. Necro Butcher, which is a crazy name, another black metal musician, thinks that Varg killed Euronymous after receiving death threats from him. Varg was arrested on August 19, 1993, when the police went to his home. They found 3,000 rounds of ammo and 330 pounds of explosives, which he was allegedly going to use to blow up a leftist social center in Oslo, but Varg denies this. Varg was sent to trial on May 2, 1994, and at his trial, many members of the black metal scene confessed to numerous crimes related to the murder. Allegedly, there was a third person involved in this that was made to stay at Varg's apartment, use his credit card, and play movies to make it look like he had an alibi. May 16, 1994, he was sentenced to 21 years, which is the maximum penalty for murder in Norway, which is insane. This sentence that he got also included the church Arsons and the holding of explosives. Varg is a terrible person. While in prison, he started a neo-Nazi group, but the group denied that he was ever in charge, and he denied it as well. In 1997, another group of neo-Nazis was arrested after it was found that they were planning to break Varg out of prison. In 2003, he was granted a short leave where he went on the run, hijacked a car at gunpoint, and was arrested later. The car contained so many incriminating things, like knives, camouflage clothes, maps, a laptop, and a phone. 13 months was added to his sentence. He was released on May 22, 2009, which was 15 years of his 21-year sentence. Out of prison, he continued to make music and started a YouTube channel, which was later then deleted by YouTube. He was also a recipient of the manifesto of Anders Behring Breivik, who was a far-right terrorist and killed 77 people in a terrorist attack. But Varg said that he did not support him. In 2013, Varg and his wife were arrested in France on suspicion of terrorism after his wife bought 4 rifles, but nothing ever came of that. Instead, Varg was charged with inciting racial hatred against Jewish and Muslim people because some posts on his blogs, but he denied that he made any of those posts. He has changed his name to Louis Cachet and also claims to be related to a Norwegian Nazi, Vidkun Quisling, who headed the government of Norway during Nazi occupation. Today, he still makes music and he's also a writer. After the murder of Euronymous, it seems like the black metal scene never really recovered, or at least not in the way that it was. There are bands who continue to make music in that style and are still active today. There were some other crazy events, like a metal band member shooting and killing a 37-year-old man, who also happened to be gay, and the rise of National Socialist black metal, which promotes the ideas of neo-Nazis. The whole world of black metal in the early to mid-90s is incredibly heartbreaking and sad and disturbing that anyone could be like this. It doesn't matter if it's like a societal thing or whatever. There's no reason for people to be killed or churches to be burned. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe. I feel like I'm getting more confident talking into the microphone, so I hope to actually record videos of my face because I have a tripod now. So anyway, if you have any questions or any ideas for future videos, please leave a comment. Okay, bye.